Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris Fellum, I am your host, and I'm super excited to be back here having the conversation with you. Now, episode 62 today, which is once again, I just love hearing the progress of these episodes, and today we're chatting about all things intention, action, and actually doing. Now, after riding the wave of last week's episode with Trang, if you didn't check out that episode, go have a listen to it. But we were talking about if you want things, you need to be willing to take action to do so. That's what it came down to in a short, and that we are more than capable of doing these things once we get the right mindset and have that willpower ready to rock and roll. Not literally rock and roll, but you get what I'm saying. And actually, I had a lovely comment and a quick little conversation that came through from Roger, one of our listeners. Hey mate, thanks for tuning in. And what he took away from the episode, and I'm just going to paraphrase what he basically said, but essentially from last week's episode, that we actually have all the information that we need to succeed, and the ability to do it is all available right in front of us. It's available to everyone. And I guess it really just comes down to what he found. It really just comes down to our mindset and making sure that it is optimal to be able to really achieve it. Meaning, once you get your headspace in the right place to be able to get yourself ready to, I guess, move and groove and rock and roll. And I know I'm talking all these fun terms, but really that's what it comes down to. Once you're ready and actually accept that this is what it's going to take to get to where we need to be, there's so many people sharing how you can achieve what you want. And then it's just about actually doing it. And that's what we're really going to focus on today. Essentially, we're focusing on, as I mentioned before, about having intention, taking action, and actually doing. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into it. So let's get into it. So there's this whole cliche around, the people being ahead of us and how they make it look so easy. And, you might not think that's true, but I feel like there is a bit of a cliche, and we always kind of think, oh, these people make it look so easy, or they've got all this money, and that's what enables them to do it so easily. But, there's a whole lot around this which is conjecture, and, it's a false understanding because, we really don't know how they've got there. But, seeing these situations, people ahead of us, and that they are making it look so easy, it can be encouraging, it can be inspiring, and sometimes it can be very frustrating as well, or it can be a whole mix and bunch of all of it. But I guess it really comes down to, do you know why they're really making it look easy? And it's actually really, really simple when you think about it. And it's because they're actually doing it. They're doing the steps, the work, and the actions that it takes to make it happen. And that's why it looks easy, because on the outside, we're looking in and seeing something which is a well-oiled machine, something which is moving in the right direction. And I guess it comes back to moving and grooving, right? And when you have that flow, when you're in that flow state, things are happening and people will think it's easy. It's definitely not easy. And I know that's, I'm not here to say that it is easy, but it does. It makes it look easy. And people are always looking out from an outside perspective and seeing all they want, which is like, he's doing this and he's getting that. How's it so easy, right? And I think the difference comes with us doing with the mindset to do versus just having ideas for things to happen, but never actually doing anything about it, right? And what I mean by that, if you didn't capture that, we have a lot of ideas about, I'm going to be doing this, I've set this goal, I'm going to lose weight this year, and all that. But, unless you actually take the mindset and understand that you're going to have to go do some work, nothing's going to change. And I think that's the difference. That's really what it comes down to. Now, over this week and over, I guess, the last couple of weeks, I've really been challenged in regards to when it comes to taking action, doing or not doing. And more so, actually, what we take from conversations and, the conversations that we have with, friends, family, or from mentors or coaches or people that inspire us, or actually just taking and consuming information and knowledge and inspiration or insight from reading books or hearing it from a podcast or learning it from an article or whatever it may be, whatever your source of that information may be. But from that, I guess upon receiving this information, we have a choice of what we want to do with it. We have a choice of what we can do with it. And it really comes down to three things that I believe that it comes down to is we can either soak it in, we can either take action, or we can do nothing, right? And let me break it down for you. So, and the question will be, what do you tend to do? But when it comes to soaking in, what I mean by this is I feel we can get so stuck on the excitement of I guess, learning something new. We let it consume us. The same way of setting a goal, like when we go about at the start of the year, we set these ambitions and goals, and when you start setting them, you're already starting to feel like you're achieving them, right? So it's the same thing when we soak in these learnings, we get so fixated on the possibility and the opportunity of what's actually potentially going to happen. We actually just soak in that excitement, and we soak in that newfound information or that change that is coming, but we don't actually do anything about it. So we never actually get the result, and then we actually get quite, frustrated. We might get depressed or angry, and, then we want to avoid the whole conversation altogether. So that's the first thing, soaking it in. Now, there's different extremes of that, but I'm just talking generalized. The next one is actually taking action from these learnings, from actually hearing something, or, being told something, or being given some insight. And this one's very self-explanatory. It is literally, once we learn something, once we hear it, once we understand it, we execute, we take action, and with intention, we start to reposition, or we pivot or adjust or implement these newfound insights or information, and we start making the improvements and the adjustments of where we want to be and how that applies to where we want to be. And I understand that this is easier said than done, as, we still actually have to go out and do the work. But if it was easy, we all would be doing it, right? And I think that's what starts to separate the outliers. And then the third one is, and once again, thinking about which one are you, is you hear information, you take information, you've had a conversation, you've got some learnings, and you do nothing with it. And we tend to do this more so because we get stuck in this mindset or this mentality around, we know it all already. We know what we know, and therefore it's right. And we tend to get defenses, or we fluff off these new ideas, especially when it comes to encouragement, constructive criticism, or feedback. We tend to think, no, and we push back, we reflect it or deflect it, and we tend to let our ego get in the way, or we're simply just too lazy. We make too many excuses, and we make excuses of why it won't work, so we never actually do anything about it. So which one are you? Are you someone that soaks in this information and just, enjoys the excitement of the possibility of what it's going to bring you, but you don't actually do anything about it? Or are you the one that actually takes action from it, or do you do nothing about it? And there's a few reasons of why you might not do nothing about it. So which one are you? And, that's a big one to ask for yourself. But the next thing I want to ask you is, when was the last time you had a meaningful conversation with someone? And then upon finishing that conversation, and knowing, there was insight, there was learnings, there was inspiration, and there was, I guess, an actionable opportunity within that. Did you do anything about it? If no, why? And if yes, what happened? I guess the next one is pretty much the same question, but in regards to reading a book, or hearing it from a podcast, or someone speaking into your life, or receiving some feedback, something that isn't a two-way conversation. Did you do anything about it? If no, why? And if yes, what happened? And this has been really on my heart and my mind so much, because, why is it that we struggle to take action from these things? I mean, it may just be me, please, if you don't agree with me, of course, you're listening and you might have a different opinion, but I've been reflecting on this in so many instances where I didn't take action, and I just appreciated the possibility of taking the action. And what the spoils would be, and the excitement from if I actually did, but I never did, right? And then you reflect and think, why haven't I made progress? Why haven't I been? But what is so crazy about this, but I guess, it's quite makes sense and it's expected, is once we actually start to be more mindful of these things, and as we start to be more open with intentionally wanting to take action and to see these learnings, come to life, and these insights, understanding that they can actually help us, things do actually start to happen, right? When we actually take these things into account. And, it makes complete sense, right? It's like, 1 + 1 = 2. But we tend to get so caught up in the middle, and it really is so simple, but why do we make it so complex? And then my final part, which is a bit of a jump, it's a bit of a leap from what we've just spoken about, but it's about happiness, which has really been a key topic that I've been chatting about over the last couple of weeks. And happiness can be a lot of things. It can be in the moment, it can be passing to the next, and it can be ongoing, and it can be growing. So there's, multiple levels of this. But I believe the best happiness myself is when you have gratitude and when you have peace. But that's not really the conversation I want to have. I want to really focus on how we want happiness and how we can get it through intention and action. But what is so it's ironic, or I guess it's kind of funny, is we do want that. We want the happiness, usually the short term and the long term too. But when I look back at these previous questions, that we just went through before, that I asked you about taking action and did we take action, we tend to miss that step of actually taking action or doubling down on an opportunity that would lead to more success or happiness or whatever it may be. So if we actually just tried some of these things, put our egos to the side and actually, gave these things a go, we may actually get what we want, which might be the happiness. And then we're not actually chasing for this happiness in a way that we think is the right way to chase it, which actually ends up being just, running around chasing a tail. So I guess it really comes down to this. We know what we know, and with that we stand naturally in pride. We get so defensive and stuck in our minds or in our boxes of like what we know, so therefore it must be right. And we become so stuck on the path of getting it done, of how we think we know how to, as I kind of just mentioned, but we become blinded by these crumbs of potential enhancements or these suggestions of how we could level up along the way, whether it's through advice, encouragement, support, feedback, constructive criticism, and things like that from other people, or, signals and signs along the way. And I mean, it stumps me. I guess, to break it down in a real simple, stupid fashion, it really just boils down to this. Just because we do something one way and get a result doesn't mean it is the right way to do it. You might be doing something and you feel happy, or you feel like you're achieving a lot, or you're feeling like it's getting somewhere. But then when you zoom out and you're not happy with where you want to be, or it's another year later and you haven't actually achieved those goals, or you're not progressing towards that happiness or that success, or you're still comparing yourself to others. Sometimes we may need to just be opening up to something has to change. We need to be trying something different. And when we do consume these things of information, or people speaking into your life, or giving you some advice, or trying to help you, or giving you an opportunity, just because you've been stuck in your way, that doesn't mean it's always going to be the best way to do it. It might have been working. It might not be necessarily getting you less of where you are, but it might not be getting you necessarily ahead of where you are. So I just want to say that again. Just because we do something one way and it gets a result doesn't mean it is the right way to do it. And it's hard to digest. It really is. So that's really what I wanted to chat to you guys about today. And I really hope it's challenged you. I hope it's, given you something to evaluate, of, what you're doing and can you be doing things differently. But more so, is there someone in your life that's talking to you? Is there a source of information? Is there an insight that's coming in? Is there a book that you're reading and it's giving you some hints and tips and tricks and different things of how you can further your life? And how are you handling that? What are you doing about it? Are you just soaking in it? Or are you actually taking action with it? And it's better to take action and quickly fail and continue to, get back up and try again. And, that fail and repeat, learn and try again and do a little further is going to actually get you further than doing nothing, right? Which one are you? Are you soaking it in? Are you actually taking action? Or are you doing nothing? Reflect on this, and if you want to continue the conversation, let's have the conversation. Maybe there's something here that is actionable. That's what I'm alluding to, right? And I think, we need to take a big, step back and have a look at ourselves and think, okay, what can I do to move forward? What can I do to move forward with intent? What can I change? Have a think about it. And as I said, if you want to chat about it, if you want to continue the conversation, you can reach out on the socials over at Twitter, at Further Your Life, or on Instagram, at Further Your Lifestyle, or drop me an email, hello@furtheryourlifestyle.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment too. But please, if you do need help, if you do want to chat to someone, or if you need someone to kind of help break through all this, it's there. I'm there. There's someone always willing to have the conversation. So, yep, that's what I have for you. This is just as much as a conversation to myself than it is to you as well. Because, I know that there's so many things, and I've been doing it over the last couple of weeks of actually trying to take more action and getting some insight from other people, being challenged, getting feedback. And it's been really, really eye-opening, and it's been encouraging, and it's been just amazing to see what we can possibly actually do once we just have that fresh perspective and have someone there, giving us some pointers, And it really comes back to that full circle of there's people out there that are making it look easy. Those are the ones you want to have the conversation with. If there's someone ahead of you that you feel like that they've got it all figured out, ask them, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Get some feedback from them. Get some insight. See what you can do. Success leaves clues, right? It's there. All you got to do is follow it or ask and just not do nothing. Right, that's it, team. Really do appreciate you all hanging out, listening to this episode. If you do enjoy these episodes, it would mean the world to me if you could share it with someone. If you feel like there's something here that resonated with you and would resonate with someone else, share the episode, or maybe just share the podcast and tell them to have a listen. It would mean the absolute world to me, and I am very, very grateful in advance. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and you have a wonderful day. Cheers. Now, if you didn't know, we do have the podcast merch, and this is with a key focus of enamel pins. Now, if you haven't checked these out, make sure you do, because the intent of these are really just to be a small token and a reminder for you to charge on, to push on, and to further your lifestyle. Whether it is a gift for someone else to encourage them, or maybe to inspire them, or maybe it's a way to motivate yourself, or you can simply just make a purchase to simply support the podcast, which would be greatly appreciated. We do also have some sweaters and some long tees, so make sure you check it out. Link in the description and in the show notes. Really do appreciate it. Cheers.